Welcome to paradise.
Hey everyone, welcome back to In the Alley. My name is Cody. Glad you guys are back for another video. Team number 2 for our 14 team previews for the upcoming 2025 season. It is the Bay Area Panthers. Bay Area has made a lot of changes, not just to the roster, but to the coaching staff as well. We will touch on all of that here in a little bit, but for pretty much all intents and purposes, this is almost a brand new team, but not a brand new team. We'll talk about that as well the further we get into the video. So same thing kind of applies as we did with Arizona, going A to Z order. So B is up next. Talk roster, talk info, talk key departures and re-signings, all that fun stuff. So let's dive in. Okay, team info popping up here. Pretty simple. They've only been a team for a couple of seasons. Have the Bay Area Panthers started all the way back during the 2020 season as the Oakland Panthers. Clearly didn't play, went on hiatus in 2021. But the Bay Area Panthers, located in San Jose, California, where they play at the SAP Center, same place the San Jose Sharks play. And well, one team's really good at the sport they're at, and the San Jose Sharks are the San Jose Sharks. So, go Jets. Capacity, 17,435. Head coach, Rob Keefe. He's been there for quite a while. They have one championship to their name. They went from worst to first, just like their Western Conference opponent in Northern Arizona. So they have one championship to claim in the Indoor Football League. They've only been around for, I think, a total of 5 seasons, but dormant for 2 of them. 13-3, and they lost in the first round against their state rival San Diego last year. 10-5, where they won the championship, and 1-15 to start their careers, I guess. So a roller coaster, not really. They've found the coaching staff. They have found the magical money well of getting the players and the coaches and everything that they've needed. Dixie Wooten is off to greener pastures as the coach of Fishers, but they have signed Les Moss, Rod Windsor, a whole bevy of experienced talent and coaching. That's going to be a lot when it comes to this team. So with that, let's go take a look at their schedule, see if we can find some wins, some losses, if it's going to be tough, easy, kind of go from there. All right, taking a look at the schedule as it pops up here, it's kind of spaced out nice and evenly. They have a lot of home games to kind of start their first, 5-6 games, and then they're on the road quite a bit. It's the same thing with Arizona that we touched on the other day. They end with back-to-back road games at Tucson, and then they fly all the way across the country. But touching at the very beginning, 3 straight home games, Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. And we'll see what happens with some of these teams. Again, we're trying to predict all of this on paper in a sense, but we don't know how good San Antonio, San Diego, or any of these teams are going to be. Bay Area is kind of loaded up. We'll touch on the roster in a minute. If you can come out of the gate swinging, I think Northern Arizona is going to take a step back, and obviously we'll talk about that in their preview. Fishers is a brand new team. It's kind of a revenge thing with Dixie Wooten. We'll kind of go there, but if you can kind of make it out 3-1 or 4-0 heading into that bye week, there's a good opportunity that you can rattle off some wins going into your second bye week. After that, it's 8 straight games, and again, 4 of the final 5 games are on the road. It gets a little hairy there, so I feel you have to get those wins at the very beginning of the season in case you kind of take a tumble down there. I don't think they are. I don't think Bay Area is going to take a tumble. They will be one of the tougher teams in the West, but ultimately, that's pretty daunting, especially with the different changes there at the end of the season. Saturday game, Monday game, Friday, Saturday, Friday. I mean, it's all these different games, a day or two of short rest and maybe some extended rest. It can make a difference. It cannot make a difference. We've seen Duke City last year. I think they traveled to Tucson on 4 days rest, and I think they won or played close at least. So we'll see what goes on there. As for Bay Area, like I said, I don't know how Massachusetts is going to be going in. They're always a perennial playoff contender, so we'll see how that game goes. Vegas and San Diego towards the end of the season there. It's a crapshoot. Like I said, I try and look at this on paper. I think Bay Area is one of the stronger teams. However, I don't think they've taken a step back. I just think some other teams have really bulked themselves up. San Antonio is very intriguing to me. Tucson could pull an upset. Vegas, I mean, they still have the MVP coming back from last year, so it's hard to gauge that. San Diego looks a little bit tougher than what they were last season. It's just a little bit more of the same here. The West is very, very formidable. just like last year. It's a gauntlet. So for Bay Area, I think you have to start off hot. I think you have to rattle off 4 wins in those first 5 or 6 games and really get it going. So you got to win games with players. Let's go take a look at those guys, talk a little bit about that, some key signings and departures after that, and we'll get on out of here. Okay, so roster popping up here. There are a couple of updates that the Indoor Football Transactions page popped up with a day or 2 ago. I haven't checked it in a couple of days. It's the weekend. Refused to report Taj Alston and John Bolding III, and then they have signed Devin Rice and Jack Daly. So they are not going to pop up on the graphic, except for the guys that refused to report, but they are not down below in the non-active spot. So we'll kind of touch on that kind of stuff when we get to it. But let's start off here. Quarterback position, Josh Jones. You've brought over the quarterback from Northern Arizona, the former head coach of Northern Arizona, the offensive coordinator from Northern Arizona. It is the Northern Arizona Panthers, or the Bay Area Wranglers, however you want to pronounce it. Rob Keefe was in Northern Arizona when they won their championship. More of the same here. I mean, they have poached Northern Arizona's talent like crazy as of late, and it's just more of the same. Josh Jones, the offensive rookie of the year last season, very, very good player. I'm assuming he's quarterback number 1. Felix Harper played a couple of games last year, either with Daquan Neal being benched or hurt. So it's not like he is, just a scrub or anything like that. He is very good as well. Question we're going to have here: who's going to take over at the running back position with Shane Simpson and Stradford Anderson, both not being re-signed just yet, or if at all. Rosters fluid. We know it. You got quite a bit of talent at the running back position. Personally, Anthony Grant, go Big Red, huge Nebraska fan. We all know this. It would be kind of cool if he got the starting position, just for my own selfish gain. But I know Sibo Flemister and Marcus Knight have something to say about that. Keon Henry Brooks as well. If I'm not mistaken, Peru State is in Nebraska as well. So, not go Big Red, but go Nebraska. Wide receivers, Josh Tomas is re-signed, and then they have re-signed yet another Northern Arizona player, Tosin Oyakonmi. So not a lot of depth when it comes to experience at the wide receiver position, but they will get quite a bit out of it. We'll see who steps up in that category, but a lot of rookies on that wide receiving core, they will step up. You also see not a lot of size. Look at some of those players that have been signed towards that bottom, 5'9", 5'10", 5'11", maybe some speedsters, maybe some special teams guys like we talked Elijah Lilly with Arizona the other day. We'll see. But that's not to poo-poo on anyone. Their size doesn't really matter in the indoor game. I mean, as long as you're fast, you can get out there and run your routes, and you're really damn good. So I like what I see here. We'll see what makes the 25-man roster. Offensive line, more poaching. You bring over DJ Stuckey, who was with Quad City and Northern Arizona. You bring in Delvin Salter and Dallas Holiday from Northern Arizona. Say it with me. It's the Northern Arizona Panthers. And adding on to that, more rookies. We'll see. Again, I don't know enough, but they all are roughly the same size. Some big guys over there. John Bowling, who refused to report. Sucks for him, but 330 pounds. Oh, well. You still got Delvin Salter, 318, and then you've got Dallas Holiday, 315. They're all roughly the same size. I think there's a certain scheme that they want to run with these size of offensive linemen, so kudos to them. Heading out to the defensive side, and again, William Martin from Northern Arizona coming over to Bay Area, but God, a lot of defensive players have been signed from last season and even previous seasons. Jonathan Ross, Tavon Grant, Morris Joseph Jr., and EJ Anai. That's a lot of depth. That is a lot of depth at the defensive line position. Key fence, it will be here. They will be a strong defense if all of these players stay. BJ Tafalele at the linebacker position. They do have Brian Horn from the Citadel. And then bringing back Joe Fouché and Tyler Watson and Shamar Moreland from, say it, Northern Arizona. It's just, my God, they have just poached all these players. A lot of rookies there as the defensive back position as well. So again, we are just looking at a team that their defense is going to be strong. It's as simple as that. Can this team score points? Josh Jones is a dual threat quarterback. Can he have that chemistry with Tosin Oyakonmi? That running game get going? I kind of like what I see here with Bay Area overall. And yeah, they've got a couple of players down there in the Canadian Football League, so if their rights get, bought back out, they can come back over here. We'll find out what happens with them. But overall, it's a very strong roster for the Bay Area Panthers. Let's go take a look at some of the impact players that I've highlighted, and we will move on. Alrighty. Key signings and re-signings and your key departures. First and foremost, we have to talk, I've already alluded to it, Josh Jones from Northern Arizona. 248 completions, 56 passing touchdowns to 7 interceptions, 128 rushing attempts, 671 rushing yards, and 21 rushing touchdowns. 2024's Offensive Rookie of the Year, part of the All-Rookie team, comes over from Northern Arizona. Just more of the same. Jaquan Neal is off to Quad City. You got Josh Jones. Felix Harper is your backup. Offense runs through him. Simple as that. Les Moss, Rod Windsor come over, so it's pretty much Northern Arizona's offensive scheme from last year. Josh Jones already knows it. So what more can you do? Big signing right there. Big signing right there. We'll talk big questions in a minute, but it's going to run through him. He will run the ball. He will pass the ball. He will need some help as well, but hopefully gone are the days of the jet sweeps with the motion wide receivers, and they actually have a running back and things like that from what Northern Arizona couldn't necessarily accomplish last year with the lack of a true running back. Over to the defensive side of the ball, I could have put some defensive linemen here. I chose not to because I do think that secondary is going to take a step up, even though they have lost a huge secondary component. But let's talk Joe Fouché, second team All-Indoor Football League and part of the All-Rookie team, 43 total tackles, 3 tackles for a loss, 6 picks, 12 pass breakups, 2 fumble recoveries, and 1 touchdown last season. I'll be brutally honest with you, when I saw his name, and I think he's from LSU or played there for a little bit, I didn't really expect much, and he surprised me. He truly surprised me. I don't really know what to say. He was a damn good player last year, and if you have him for the bulk of the season this upcoming, this 2025 campaign, it will be more of the same, more tackles for a loss, probably more picks, 12 pass breakups, really good. You can get even more than that. So that being said, Joe Fouché, keep doing what you're doing, bud. I mean, shout out to you. Not to be outdone, though, Tyler Watson, 68 total tackles, 2.5 for a loss, 1 pick, and 19 pass breakups. Just the 1 interception, which, I mean, pump up those numbers, kid. Those are rookie numbers. However, all jokes aside, very strong season for Tyler Watson. We know who the tackle king was. We'll get to him in a second. But Tyler Watson, not to be outdone, him and Joe Fouché, with what they've done in that secondary, like I said, I could put a defensive lineman here as an impact player. They will be getting after the quarterback, but I do like what the secondary has been able to accomplish for Bay Area. This defense will keep them in games. This defense will take the ball away. They will break up your passes. They will shut you down on third down if they have to. I like what they have. Bay Area is, to me, a sneaky candidate for national champion right now. Key departures, though. This is where they could kind of reverse it. Shane Simpson, 603 yards on 136 rushing attempts, 23 touchdowns, 218 receiving yards on 22 catches for 5 touchdowns. No accolades for him to speak of, but a very good kind of Swiss Army knife whenever Jaquan Neal or Felix Harper was not running the ball. A very good runner. Stafford Anderson as well was doing his job. So again, the question I have, who's going to play running back? That's a lot of production to replace, kind of like what I alluded to with Arizona. A lot of key running backs kind of not necessarily losing their jobs, but not necessarily getting re-signed either. I mean, I have to edit. Arizona did re-sign Shannon Brooks, so there you go. But Shane Simpson from Quad City over here, I mean, just a really good running back. Shame to see him go. If he gets re-signed, all the power to Bay Area. So if he goes somewhere else, look out. He is a damn good running back. Wide receiver JT Stokes, he is off to the Fishers Freight. Follow Dixie Wooten, 61 catches, 725 yards, 15 touchdowns, 27 rushing attempts, 99 yards, almost broke 100 rushing yards, 3 rushing touchdowns, probably on some motion jet sweeps or things along those lines. But he was, if I'm not mistaken, their number one, in terms of yardage, their number 1 wide receiver. Some injuries kind of happened. I think Pierre Williams was out for a little bit, and Jazarick Peterson, or there's been a couple of guys that I'm blanking on in my head right now that kind of up their production too. They do have Josh Tomas coming back, but JT Stokes, losing him, especially going over to Fishers. I know they play each other at some point this season. I think week 4. I just looked at the schedule in the previous segment. I should know this, but JT Stokes going over to Fishers, it's kind of a big hit. Like I alluded to in the roster segment, you don't have a lot of experience at the wide receiver position, not a lot of experience at the running back position, but the coaching staff will coach these guys up. Look at what Les Moss did last season with Northern Arizona, the amount of rookies that they had. It can be done. So I'm looking for more of the same here, even though Stokes is off to a different team. Some of those wide receivers will have to step up. Finally, let's talk first team all indoor football defensive back, Antoine Kincaid. Honestly, I think he was second place to Riverius Rivers when it came to defensive player of the year. 108 total tackles, 10.5 for a loss, 2 sacks, 2 interceptions, 14 pass breakups, and 2 fumble recoveries. That's just my own opinion, by the way. He could not be second place, but the amount of tackles he had, 10.5 for a loss. He did play special teams for quite a bit of those tackles, and only 2 interceptions to speak of. But that's the tackle king, man. I mean, if he wasn't first, he was second. He had a lot down, triple-digit tackles. I'm still remembering that fumble recovery that he had that he scored a touchdown with. I should have put his touchdowns there. I forgot to do that. But he was everywhere, man. He was in the backfield when it came to teams trying to run the ball. He was all over the damn place. There are times where he took over. There were times where he completely took over. And look at the tackles that he had with Fouché up there, with Tyler Watson. I mean, they were just, the secondary of this team is just incredible. So not to have him, but to sign Shamar Moreland over from Northern Arizona, to sign him over from Northern Arizona. What am I talking about? To sign him over from Northern Arizona, if I can get my words right, it builds some depth. You're going to miss Antoine Kincaid, and again, it's not like they can't bring him back, but as of right now, as the rosters sit right now, I do like the depth that they have at the defensive side of the ball and in the secondary. So Antoine Kincaid, if you do come back, I mean, there's easily a spot for you in the roster. If there's not, the production will go down, but I think someone else or maybe a couple of people can build that production right back up. So that's just kind of where we're at with it. I still like with what Bay Area has accomplished with their signings. They will lose some players. Everyone does. But I think they have filled those gaps just a little bit. So with that being said, let's move on to our 3 big questions. Okay, 3 big questions. Question number 1. Can you have a running back replicate Shane Simpson or Justin Rankin? Simple as that. Touched on it a couple of times in this video, but Sebo, Knight, Grant, Henry Brooks all have their work cut out for him. I mean, Shane Simpson is a pretty good all-purpose back. Justin Rankin, he's in the Canadian Football League, so got some big shoes to fill when it comes to the running back position. I know Justin Rankin is kind of an outlier there, but again, he's a damn good running back. So we'll see who makes that leap. We will, but 1 or 2 of these guys has to step up, and I think we'll see who it is. We'll figure out who it is when the 25-man rosters come out for their first game of the year, but until then, we'll just kind of see what goes on when training camp and everything gets underway. I'm excited to see what they can produce. Speaking of production, question number 2. Sorry, I hit my desk. Who steps up as wide receiver 1? Josh Tomas is back. Oyakonmi comes over from Northern Arizona. Can they be the breakout stars? Are you going to have another wide receiver step up from one of the rookies? Are you going to sign someone else? What goes on for Bay Area in the wide receiver category? From last year, they had Stokes, they had Tomas, they had Jazarick Peterson, a couple of other guys that, played their way through. But at the same time, it seemed like it was DeQuan Neal's team. They ran the ball quite a bit. So how much production does the wide receiving core actually need? You didn't necessarily. I mean, you saw some passing game with Northern Arizona, lack of a running game last year, but are they going to flip it? Are they going to be more balanced with what they have when it comes to the rosters and things? We'll see. So who steps up as wide receiver 1? Who steps up as your running back? You're going to have to figure that stuff out to start the season. Obviously, they're going to. So question number 3, the defense is retooled. Are all the pieces in place for this team to make a championship run? So last season, They lost in the first round to San Diego. They won the championship 2 years ago. They have had stacked rosters most of the time. The coaching staff is there. The players are there. The championship might depend on the offensive line. It might depend on how well they protect Josh Jones. It'll depend on how well the running game and the offense truly goes. I think the defense will be fine. I think the defense will keep them in games. However, I think it will depend on how well the offense goes. The offense for Northern Arizona was really good last season. Kept them in the playoff hunt until pretty much the very end. But I'm a little worried if they just do not have a lack of a running game. That's the thing that worries me. I don't see it happening, but that is my contributing factor here. Can they get a running game going? Bay Area has normally been very good at running the ball, especially if you have a dual threat quarterback like a DeQuan Neal, Felix Harper. Now they have Josh Jones, so I don't see any production dropping off there, but you need one of these running backs to step up. You need the wide receivers to get open. Dixie Wooten would throw it deep. I remember a broadcast where they would say they'd run it, and then take a shot over the top. So are they going to do more of that? We'll find out. That's my biggest contributor here. Everything is there for a championship run for Bay Area. The West is still going to be tough. I think they have what it takes to make a championship run here. I do. Their window is, there's no window here. It's whoever you sign. I don't like that term now that I'm thinking about it. But I do think everything is there for Bay Area. They are probably my dark horse right now. I know it's early, but they are my dark horse right now to probably win the championship. So that's where we're at with it. Those are my questions. Can you have a running back step up? Can you have a wide receiver step up? Defense is pretty much retooled. Is everything there for a championship run? So, again, sound off in the comments. Bay Area fans that aren't Bay Area fans, if you want to talk some S, go for it. But at the same time, here you go. That's what I think for Bay Area. They are a sneaky good team for me. Coaching staff is legitimate. The players, legitimate. I think Bay Area has a chance to win a championship this year. So let's wrap it up and get out. And that's it for the 2025 preview for the Bay Area Panthers. Just like all the other previews I'm going to do, stuff will change between now and then, but I had to draw a hard line on when I wanted to get these out. It's going to be a couple of weeks before week 1 or week 0, whatever you want to call it, when some of these teams don't even play. But I had to draw a line somewhere. I'm ready to be wrong, and just like with Arizona re-signing Shannon Brooks and Amari Alexander and all of that stuff, I'm ready to be wrong with this stuff too. So we'll see what Bay Area does, but I really like what they've done with the coaching, with the players. It's the Northern Arizona Panthers. Anyway, I want to take off and get on out of here, guys. Appreciate the love, support, all of that kind of stuff. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that mushy-gushy stuff. Anyway, I'm taking off here. Going to do some double duty. I will do the Fishers video right after I get done editing this one. Until then, guys, take care and see ya.